Another type of common menu is pop-up or pop-down, whichever term you prefer to use. Menus that, when you scroll over the main navigation, new information appears instead of clicking on it and it stays there, which is what this is doing right now. We're going to start with the code from the previous exercise and modify it so that it turns into a pop-up menu. And then we're going to end by taking our vertical pop-up menu and turning it into a horizontal pop-up menu. You're going to see exactly how simple it is to go from one to the other. Let's take a look at the HTML file, which is identical, line for line, just the same as it was in the previous exercise. For those of you looking at the exercise files, this is Chapter 12, Example 2, script.html. And there's nothing particularly new or novel in this. Our script.css file is slightly different, but nothing that really matters terribly. Our JS file, though, we're starting with the previous version, and now we're going to add just what we need to turn it into the new type of menu. Init all, again, starts with getting all the links on the page. Now, if it's a menu link, if it's an on-click, we want to call a function we're going to be writing shortly called retFalse. And as you might guess from the name, all it's going to do is return false. Because all the work is going to be done by another routine we're about to write. On mouse over equals toggle menu. Though actually, we're not quite going to write it, we're just going to modify the existing one. We're going to rewrite it. And that's the extent of all our changes in init all. We scroll down and take a look at toggle menu, start menu, stop menu, and this menu name are identical. What we now need to do is set document.get element by ID, this menu name dot style dot display equals block. We do that instead of having to do all of this code here down at the end because we want it to always display in a block if we've moved the cursor over it, and that's how toggle menu gets called in the first place. So we want that to happen. So let's delete the code we don't need anymore. Now we're going to add a smidge more code right here. This dot parent node dot class name equals this menu name. This dot parent node dot on mouse out is toggle div off, and this dot parent node dot on mouse over equals toggle div on. The point of this code is because if you just move the cursor over the link and the stuff below it goes down, you don't want all of those new menu items to suddenly go away once you try to move the mouse onto one of them. So you want the on mouse over and on mouse out to now work for that entire block, not just that one line. So what we're doing is getting the parent of this menu, of this link, setting its class name to be the menu name, setting the on mouse out to toggle the entire div off, and setting the on mouse over to turn the entire div on. And that way, as long as we're over this entire area, it will stay up. And once we leave any part of this area entirely, it will go down. So as you guess, we now need to add toggle div on and toggle div off. Function toggle div on is set to document.get element by ID. This dot class name dot style dot display equals block. By setting the class name to be the ID of the block we want to show, we've stored the class name as a reference to our ID. Toggle div off is virtually identical, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it. Instead of block, we set it equal to be none. And finally, there's our very last bit here, which is function retFalse. And all that does is return false, so that if somebody does happen to click on the link, it doesn't actually take them somewhere. The menu just drops down as normal. We're going to save our file, switch back out to our browser, and reload this page and see how it works. It shows up when I cursor it over it, and when I leave, it goes off. It stays up when I'm over any part of this div and goes away when I go off of it, and these are live active links here. Now let's try one other thing. Let's say that instead of wanting our menu to go vertically down, one below the other, we want it to go across. You'd think, man, that might be a whole lot of code that we have to write just to do that. The amount of JavaScript we have to write is 0, none at all. What we have to do is write some CSS. The amount of CSS we have to write is 1 line. All I do is say float left, save this out, go back to the browser, reload the page, and now here's our pull-down menu, just the way you've seen them on so many sites. And that's how to do your pull-down and pop-up menus, either horizontally or vertically. Next up is a slideshow with captions.